The NFC North is no stranger to aggressive deadline deals. The Vikings flex muscle, trading for a defensive weapon. The Bears quietly upgrading their secondary. And even Green Bay dipped into the market for depth while circling the playoff race. Meanwhile, Detroit's front office held firm. Radio silence while the clock ticked down, and Lions fans were left wondering, is this the same Lions team that roared back last season with bold moves and grit? At 5-3, coming off a tough loss to the Vikings and staring down a crucial stretch against the Commanders and beyond, questions surface fast. How can a defense plagued by injury and a thin secondary survive such a grind without reinforcement? Where's that bite on the edge? And why no splash for a game changer like a Joel Bitonio or Wyatt Teller from Cleveland's trade block? The clock ran out, and Detroit's front office chose patience over panic. But does that passivity sound like Dan Campbell, the firebrand who has never shied from striking when the stakes were highest? This silence has echoes of Barry Sanders' sudden exit and Calvin Johnson's unexpected retirement moments when the Lions stalled instead of surging. Now, the playoff race and the pride of Honolulu Blue hangs trembling in the balance. This is Lions News Fan Report, where every yard fought is a war won, and every FO move sends shockwaves through Ford Field. Hit that subscribe button now if you bleed Honolulu Blue and crave updates that cut past the noise, because second-guessing after the whistle won't win games. Breaking down the trade deadline fallout. Despite the glaring needs on defense, the Lions made no move even, as the Jets shook the NFL by trading away Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner, spotlighting edge rusher Jermaine Johnson. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reported late Tuesday that New York wanted a second-round pick for Johnson, a former first-round pick and current Pro Bowler who would have fit perfectly opposite Aiden Hutchinson. Imagine adding Johnson's speed and power to a Lions defense that has been gashed on the perimeter and bruised inside. Yet Detroit chose to sit it out, a choice that echoes their decision not to re-sign Zadarius Smith preseason, letting him leave for Philadelphia before retiring quietly. The result? A defense now left scrambling with only free agency as a lifeline, and that's a tough pill to swallow with playoff pressure mounting. On the offensive line, things aren't much rosy. The broken ankle suffered by guard Christian Mahogany in Week 9 against Minnesota is a serious blow. Dan Campbell was blunt Monday. Mahogany's long road to recovery will test the depth of a line already showing cracks from its dominant 2 years ago. Detroit did respond by signing rookie guard Jack Conley to the practice squad, a move that suggests Tristan Colon or Kingsley Eguakun will slide inside for Week 10's must-win against Washington. But here's the kicker. The Cleveland Browns, sellers at the deadline, dangled two elite, multiple-time Pro Bowl guards Joel Bitonio and Wyatt Teller right under Detroit's nose. Yet the Lions passed. No biting, no negotiation, no veteran anchors brought in to steady a faltering front line. For a team under Dan Campbell, known for his aggressive, no-fear approach, this hands-off stance is baffling. Let's be clear, the Lions have shown boldness. Last year's deadline trade for Zadarius Smith was a statement, one that helped push Detroit into the playoffs and electrify the NFC North. Campbell's play calling and coaching style thrive on risk and reward, but this year, the silence rings loud. With a 5-3 record and playoff hopes riding on every snap, Detroit's inactivity sends a message: rely on what you've got, or break in emergency mode. Meanwhile, division rivals prepare to capitalize. The Vikings keep stacking talent on defense, making Dalvin Cook's offense look like a well-oiled machine again. Green Bay's cautious reforging of their defense and Chicago's strategic secondary pickups could tip the balance in battles ahead. What's at stake now is deeper than a single position. This is about Detroit's identity as an NFC North contender. Can a defense riddled with holes find resilience through coaching grit and player development alone? Will the offensive line, weakened in patchwork, protect Jared Goff long enough to keep this offense efficient? And what does it say when the front office won't pounce on veteran stars like Bitonio and Teller when Cleveland was willing to deal? Rumors swirl. Fans speculate. Did Detroit explore those deals behind closed doors? Did contract demands make the price too steep? Or is the foe playing a long game, holding assets for a future deadline? Ford Field is loud, and Lions fans are louder. If you want real Detroit grit, real-time reports, and no-nonsense analysis, Subscribe now and join us as the season reaches a fever pitch. The roar of this city won't die quietly, and neither will this fandom. Here's the tough truth. Going cold at the trade deadline could come back to haunt the Lions. The defense's weakness off the edge leaves Aiden Hutchinson as a solo warrior. The secondary's depth crisis mirrors last year's defensive breakdown. And the offensive line's thin patchwork is a striptease for opposing defenses hungry to blitz. With the Washington Commanders' next upstarting backup QB, a lion's share of points to protect, and a fierce division fight looming, Detroit's margin for error is razor thin. How do you see this move shaping Detroit's playoff push? Will lingering hesitation sap their momentum, or spark a steel resolve that surprises the NFC North? Could this silence mark another season slipping away, or is it a quiet calm before Detroit Lions roar past the competition? Drop your takes in the comments below. We're reading everyone. Because here, every second counts, every play matters, and every Lions fan knows the hunger for postseason glory runs deep, from Barry Sanders' electric rushes to the last second of last year's playoffs. The question is, will the front office step up now, or will history repeat itself? And remember, if the Lions' pass rush stays silent, even mixed with the usual Dan Campbell bravado, fans will be left cracking jokes about playoff hopes as fragile as a Detroit tailgate pretzel after the rain. Stay sharp, Detroit. We've got a war on our hands. Lions pride. What if this isn't the end of the shock, but the start of something bigger? The Detroit Lions, known for their gritty resilience and bold moves, could be staring down a storm, or maybe, just maybe, sitting on a powder keg that's ready to blow. Rumors swirl that rivals like Minnesota and Chicago are eyeing the same trade. Targets could the NFC North already be setting the stage for a high-stakes scramble? The front office's silence on the veteran guard market, especially with the Browns dangling Joe Bitonio and Wyatt Teller II proven. Pro Bowl anchors has fans questioning, are they playing chess while others play checkers, or are they missing a golden opportunity that could define the season? Reports say Detroit was heavily involved behind the scenes, but didn't pull the trigger. Was it contract demands, price tags, or a calculated move to keep assets for a later deadline? That decision, if it turns out to be a mistake, could haunt them in a playoff race where every game is a must-win. This silence is echoing louder with each passing day, especially as the defense continues to show cracks. Suffering injuries and lacking edge, Hayden Hutchinson's solo effort now more critical than ever, fighting through double teams without backup. Meanwhile, the injury to Christian Mahogany on Week 9's brutal loss to Minnesota exposes how thin the Lions' interior line truly is. The coaches say it's a long road to recovery, but how long before that becomes a collapse? The signing of rookie Jack Conley suggests the Lions are patching together a compromised line. Every snap a test of Goff's patience. And for a team that's relied on strategic grit before, this upheaval could be their undoing. The league chatter hints that, with the trade window closed, Detroit's window for impactful additions has slammed shut, leaving fans to wonder if they gambled on internal development instead of star power, a risky move when the NFC North is stacking talent behind every corner and linebacker. Beyond the line, the division is tightening. Minnesota keeps bolstering their defense, adding more muscle to Dalvin Cook's offensive line. Green Bay is cautiously retooling, hoping to simulate some of the old magic, while Chicago's secondary, newly upgraded with smart pickups, ready to test Detroit's aerial attack. The stakes aren't just about a few wins, they're about Detroit's identity as a true NFC North contender, or just pretenders bleeding through a patchwork. Every injury, every missed opportunity fuels skepticism. Can this defense, battered and bruised, muster the grit and scheme to survive? Will Goff be protected enough to trust his arm, or will the ticking clock drown out the offense's chances? And when you see Chicago snagging talent like they're on a fire sale, it sparks dangerous question. Do you know what keeps me up at night? Watching elite talent being underutilized. And right now, there's a player sitting in Golden State who could completely transform our Lakers into legitimate championship contenders. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report, where you get the most updated news, breaking rumors, and deep analysis about our beloved purple and gold. I'm here to break down something that's been brewing in the league. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this one, because what I'm about to share could change everything we know about this Lakers season. Let me paint you a picture. It's late November, and the NBA landscape is shifting dramatically. Teams are making moves, players are being shuffled between G League affiliates and main rosters. And if you know how to read between the lines, these seemingly small transactions tell a much bigger story. On November 26th, something interesting happened that should have every Lakers fan paying close attention. The Warriors assigned Jonathan Kuminga to Santa Cruz, their G League affiliate, and then immediately recalled him the very same day. Now, before you think this is just routine roster management, let me tell you why this matters to us Lakers fans and why this could be the beginning of something much bigger. Jonathan Kuminga is 22 years old, standing 6'7" with elite athleticism that jumps off the screen every time he steps on the court. Defensive versatility that allows him to guard multiple positions effectively, and an offensive upside that hasn't fully been unlocked yet. He's averaging solid numbers this season, putting up respectable points, rebounds, and showing flashes of the superstar potential that made him a lottery pick. But here's the thing that should make every Lakers fan lean forward in their seats. He's not getting the opportunity he deserves in Golden State. The minutes aren't consistent, the role isn't clearly defined, and for a player of his caliber and potential, that's a massive problem that could benefit us tremendously. The Warriors are in a transitional phase, caught between competing now and building for the future. They're trying to maximize their championship window with Steph Curry, who's still playing at an MVP level despite being in his mid-30s. But they're also looking at their future and trying to figure out which young players fit into their long-term plans. And when teams start doing that G League assignment dance with a player of Kuminga's caliber, it usually means one of two things. They're either trying to showcase him to potential trade partners around the league, or they're evaluating his trade value to see what kind of return they could get. Either way, this creates an opportunity for us. Now, let's talk about what we need as a team and why Kuminga fits perfectly into our championship puzzle. The Lakers have LeBron James still performing at an incredibly high level, defying age and expectations night after night. And Anthony Davis is dominating when healthy, being the two-way force we need him to be. But we're missing that explosive athletic wing who can defend multiple positions, attack the rim with ferocity, finish through contact, and provide that next-generation star power that bridges our present with our future. Does that description sound familiar? Because I just described Jonathan Kuminga perfectly, and that's exactly what makes this potential acquisition so exciting. Think about our recent roster moves and what they tell us about the direction of this franchise. On November 25th, we recalled Bronny James and Adu Thiro from South Bay, bringing them back to evaluate their progress and see how they fit with the main roster. We signed Drew Tim to a two-way contract, adding another developmental piece with legitimate NBA potential, and ended Christian Coloco's two-way deal, showing we're not afraid to make tough decisions. These moves show that our management is actively evaluating talent and making strategic decisions about our roster composition. I'll be here tracking every development, and I'll see you in the next video with more breaking news and analysis. Let's go Lakers! Troy's front office explore those deals? Were contract costs too high? Or are they holding assets because they secretly believe in a final move, a late-season push? The whispers say that Detroit might be waiting for a blockbuster closer, but what if that wait becomes too long? What happens if this silence becomes the new normal mayhem on the field if the secondary gets exploited? Pressure mounting on an already fragile front line? The game against Washington is staring down at them like a runaway freight train. Backup QB, mounting injuries, and playoff stakes all converging in a perfect storm. For Lions fans, this is more than just a game, it's about legacy. Is this a moment where they step up or drown in what could have been? Their history echoes Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, last season's playoff surge, each moment tinged with what might have been, what still could be. The Lions locker room must be questioning, did the front office just miss the boat? Or are they secretly holding back, holding their breath until the right moment? Because if the silence continues and the defense's edge remains muted, the NFC North's game of chicken could leave Detroit on the outside looking in, while rivals feast on their paws. The clock's ticking louder than ever will the front office gamble or fold, risking a season of what-ifs and playoff heartbreak. This season's outcome hinges on this decision. Do they DNA grind or risk it all in a desperate bid for playoff survival? And if they dig in, if they stand pat, Does that mean the Pride's roar is quieter than ever? A muted blue whispers of a season slipping away? The real question, are we witnessing a moment of calm before Detroit's next legendary roar, or the quiet before a fall that no fan wants to believe? The stakes are monumental, season-defining. The entire city feels it, waiting for some sign, any sign that Detroit will break free from this restraint, strike with fury, and stake their claim. Or will they, like the ghosts of past seasons, stumble just when the light's in reach? Because in Ford Field, every second that ticks past is more than just time. It's a chance loss, a season slipping through our fingers, and an opportunity to make a statement that echoes through the Motor City's blood. This is it, the final push. The deadline's near, assets are on the line. And the ultimate question looms. Do the Lions trust their grit, or do they watch rivals seize the moment while they stay silent in the shadows? Because if the front office gambles now, we could be watching the start of a dynasty or the death of a dream. And I'll tell you this, don't count Detroit out yet. No way. This city's pride runs deep, and from the first whistle to the last, they'll fight tooth and nail, no matter what's at stake. One pride is more than just a phrase. It's the grit, the fire, the engine behind every play, every fight, every desperate drive down the stretch. It's not over till it's over, but make no mistake, if Detroit's front office doesn't step up soon, that roar might just fade into echoes of what could have been.